Welcome, friends. I'm Sherry Pluskota, and I'll be your host this evening. And Isaac's the co host, but he can't speak right now. So, as soon as he can, he'll let us know, but he's here in spirit. So, welcome, Isaac. And I'm going to do a little bit of house cleaning and we'll get on with the show, as they say. If you're joining me live, thank you so much. If you're listening at a future time, I appreciate you doing so. And thank you as well. Before I proceed, I'm going to give a little shout out to my family as we mourn the passing of my cousin, Carol Ann. May she rest in peace. She will be missed. Many thanks to my sponsor, Elevator Results. If you need a tailor made workout plan to help you lose weight or gain weight, Elevator Results can design that plan. Follow them on Twitter and check out their site at elevatorresultspt.com. Be reminded you can find the recordings of my past interviews and spaces on my YouTube channel at Sherry Pluskota 9212. Please like and subscribe. It is free of charge. Come play with me in Malta, poker that is. I'm going to be hosting a nightcap tournament at the Malta Poker Festival on Halloween night, October 31st, but I will be there from October 29th through November the 3rd. Don't forget to bring your Halloween costume. My guest this evening is Jason Patton, otherwise known as Papa Poker, who was once a sports announcer making the calls for the hockey games at Princeton. Jason has over 25,000 in total live earnings on his Hendon Mob, with his best live cash nearly $9,000 for his fourth place finish in the $400 Venetian Deep Stack in 2024. His first mob entry was in 2022. Currently, Jason has set out on the road on the Canon Ball Run, which we will dive into shortly. So happy that Jason and I have been able to turn some lemons from spaces into a growing friendship. And I look forward to that friendship continuing to grow through the years. Welcome, Papa Poker.
Thank you so much. Great to connect, Sherry. Great to connect with everyone on Spaces, and it's fun to think about that Hendon Mob cash. That big one. I actually got knocked out by Jeremy Becker, and I was ahead 60-40, trying to chase down like a $12,000 prize for third, and Jeremy sucked out on me. So.
Oh, and he's such a crusher over at the Venetian. If there's one name we've heard coming out of that Venetian, it is his over the last year, 18 months for sure. Definitely a crusher. So no shame in losing to him, Papa Poker. No shame at all. Little shout out to some of the folks in the audience. I see Doinky and Merv and Snoop and Sean. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Of course, request anytime you want to come up and speak with us. You are more than welcome to. Okay, Papa, tell us how you got that nickname, Papa Poker.
Yes. So in my day world, I go by J Patton, and for poker, I was trying to figure out how do I come up with a persona to stand out. Uh, I do have two kids, and alliteration always works. So Papa and Poker. My last name is Patton, so the Pa sort of matches up with the last name. So we wrapped it all up. I was trying to get into social media and gain some followers and have some people join me for my poker adventures. I set out on this, call it almost a year and a half ago, a little under 2 years ago. And I was like, all right, let's come up with Papa Poker. Let's find one handle that's available across all of social media. So I'm Papa POK3R. So it's sort of nice and short and simple. I could get it on TikTok. I could get it on X. I could get it on Insta. I could get it on Facebook. I could get it on YouTube. So that's sort of the same handle across all social media. And I'm like, oh, I'm spending my weekends playing poker from time to time. It's easy enough to shoot some quick interviews, shoot some shorts, and let's see where this social media thing takes me. So labeled myself Papa Poker, got the social media handles, and then, actually one of the first famous people to do a short with me was Jeremy Becker at the Venetian, and he was talking to me at a Chipotle, and all the people around the poker community have been so good to me as I've asked them to do short interviews and things like that to support my social media.
I love that. And, being an interviewer myself, it's always exciting, no matter who it is, when they agree to do an interview. Love it. Absolutely love it. It's exciting for sure, as well as when you agreed to do one. You reached out to me about something else a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, well, how about an interview? And you were like, yes, let's do it. So I'm glad you agreed to it for sure. How long have you been playing poker?
Well, we talk about that first Hendon Mob cash, and it makes me think I've got like a tweet lined up for later this year, which is going to be my first cash period, which is going to be the 20-year anniversary of my first cash, taking down first place out of 90 people, $3,000 tournament win at Caesars Atlantic City. So I'm waiting. I still got a few more months before my 20-year anniversary of that cash.
I love
I'd
it.
say, I was playing online 20 years ago ahead of starting to make my way to Atlantic City. I'd watched on Travel Channel, I'd watched on ESPN. I said I could do that. I think all of us, have watched those hands go
Sure.
by and seen all those famous broadcasters calling the action, and then, all the famous players who we still watch today. And it's like, oh, I could do that. And got Doyle Brunson's book. Fortunately, my friend said, you just need to read the Hold'em section. You don't have to read the whole book.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, the book he's referring to is is it's huge.
Super System. Yeah.
The
Super
super
System by
system's
Doyle Brunston
it's probably
is
3 inches
is
thick, don't you think?
it's one of the biggest books on my
Yeah,
bookshelf,
it's
far and
huge.
away.
Oh, it's funny. Go ahead, continue.
So I studied that one section. Um, Growing up, I guess I'd always, read up in Hoyle's Book of Games, all the different variations of poker and other games that you could play. So I've loved playing games my entire life. I gave up video games in college. So I think that poker has somehow fit into that gap where I stopped doing video games. So then poker is my outlet. Played online, figured out how to play. I think I finished 24th out of 75 in my first tournament in Atlantic City, went back for my second and did well. But I mean, back then, nobody knew what they were doing. And
Right,
these small dailies, like, I barely knew what I was doing, but I knew more by reading Super System than everybody
right.
else. So
We can't
I've always
say
tried
that
to
these
stay.
days, can we?
No, like, if you were to take Jay from 20 years ago and set him in a casino now, I'd be out within, a few rounds. It's so
So, do
amazing.
you consider yourself more of a cash player than tournament player?
I only play tournaments. My worry in
Okay.
cash is that I'll just keep dipping into my wallet. And even if I run bad, the downside is just too big for me. So I wouldn't even consider myself anywhere near a professional player. I'm someone who likes to have fun, who go play a daily on a weekend. When the World Series comes to town, let's go play it. But I'm out there to have fun, only focusing on tournaments. And by doing that, it sort of limits how much I play poker. In my life, I have two kids. I have a job. I've got a family. So finding the time to carve out 5 hours or
All
two
right.
days to do a tournament is hard. And so that limits me from playing too much. So I know I have a personality where I'd love to be in the casino all the time. If I had unlimited bankroll, I'd love to play cash.
Sure.
But by just playing tournaments, it lets me focus. I do think they're two different games. So just playing
Absolutely.
tournaments, I specialize in that. I know how to play the hands. I will run into players who you can tell are typically cash players, and you may be able to play them a little bit differently.
Right.
So I focus on tournaments, and that's sort of the 100% way I go.
And how did you start playing poker?
So I was at a picnic in New Jersey, and my buddy Jamie, He had just started playing online. He's like, I want to go to Atlantic City. He mentioned it to a whole bunch of people, but I was the only one who jumped up and said, "Oh, that sounds fun." So Jamie and I went to those Atlantic City tournaments together. Back in the day, we would hop online and maybe even, hop on the phone at the same time while we're playing tournaments and chat back and forth. This was all pre Black Friday. So I guess before that, before playing Hold'em, I did do some home games and things, but really got into it pre Black Friday. I really liked Mansion Poker. I don't know if anyone played Mansion. I certainly played Party Poker and all the different, Ultimate Bet and all these
Right.
different sites. And then Black Friday came. It certainly curtailed my playing of poker. I moved to New York City, and one of my favorite things in New York City was um, they would have charity tournaments from time to time.
Oh,
And there was a charity tournament benefiting the Bonacani Fund, which I just loved going to. Um, Famous New York Knicks would come. Um, Famous poker people from the industry would come, and it would just be sort of a fun hangout. You get to play poker. It's for charity. Everybody's drinking and having a good time. So those were some of my early days in poker. Is an occasional trip to Atlantic City and some charity poker in New York.
awesome. Very cool. Um, weren't you part of the media crew over at the Venetian this past summer? Or am I making that up?
So the Venetian opened up their new room. I guess it's just about a little bit more than a year ago, and I had the chance to run down and go to sort of that opening kickoff of that new Venetian poker room.
Right.
And then given I was living in Las Vegas at the time and hanging out with the crew, with they were doing so many promotions and meetup games, I would make a point of helping out the Venetian and promote whatever they were doing. If someone was famous coming to town,
Gotcha.
I'd try and at least stop in and get a short done. Obviously, Joey Ingram is doing so much with the Venetian. Then you've got Poker Go with their new setup.
Right.
Mariano's playing cash tomorrow, which you may be tracking in the
Yeah.
the Brian Oaken game. And I'm thinking of dropping by the Venetian and waving to everybody and seeing if I can get Mariano for a quick short
Awesome.
interview if I can.
Awesome. All right. One thing I want to, since you talk about being a tournament player now, I want to know what are the most amount of times you rebought into a tournament?
I would always focus on not buying in that much. Profitability wise, the less times you buy in, the better your
Yeah.
ROI if you do succeed. So I would say that prior to this poker cannonball that we're about to talk about,
Right.
I never bought in more than two times, the original and then one additional entry. I never bought in more than twice. In this poker cannonball, where there are all these special rules and you're
Right.
very focused on cashing, I have now beat that record. I think it's three or four or something like that in my life.
Well, I'm going to kind of get into why I asked the question. Here in Spaces, we've had several discussions about rebuys. And I just made it a point over probably the last 6 months, maybe even seven now, to ask my guests that question. Because I'm just trying to get different opinions from different people in the poker world. And it's really based, the question's really based out of a discussion that developed because a player went down to Biloxi back in February and he rebought into a $400 tournament 36 times. And so that sparked a lot of conversation. And so, if I were to say to you, Jason, the world of poker is putting a new rule into place and we want your input, we're going to limit the number of rebuys into all the tournaments in the world. How many rebuys do you think players should be allowed?
I'm okay with it is as it is. I'm
So
okay with this guy
unlimited.
rebuying 36 times. I mean, that's more money for me, right? Um, so I am okay with the current system.
Okay,
I
perfect.
don't see any need to switch it. Go 36 times if you want. I can't imagine that, but If you want, obviously, I've seen other big people say that they've cashed or bought in 10 times or 11 times and then gone on to cash and it's been profitable for them. In the smaller tournaments that I play, these dailies, I don't even think you have time to buy in 36 times when your buy-in period's
Right.
only a couple hours.
Right.
So I'm okay with the system. I will let people who play those bigger games counter me, but I think if someone wants to contribute to the prize pool, let them.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate your opinion. All right, let's get into it. The current Cannonball Run. Um, I want you to. Uh, there's so much to unpack here, so I'm going to try to unpack it so we just don't get lost in the sauce, as they say. So go ahead and tell our audience um, first why or what is the competition you're creating.
Yeah, well, I'll cover what it is real
Yeah,
fast. That'll sort of set the
yeah,
stage, and then we can get into how it came
right.
about and some other things. So the poker cannonball, and I've got a website set up at pokercannonball.com. And people may know the Cannonball Run movie that starred Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise and many of the Rat Pack
And
actors
if
from back in
you
the
don't,
day.
I highly recommend you go watch that movie because it's just a great old movie. Go ahead.
Yes, and that Cannonball Run movie is based on a real race that took place at first in the 1970s, where you drove from New York City to Los Angeles in the fastest time possible. And if you speed and exceed 100 miles an hour almost the whole way, you can cross the country in 30 some hours, or now even 20 some hours. Back in the 70s, people were doing this in 30 some hours. And I have always followed this this Cannonball Run and said, "Oh, I'd love to do that." But I do have two kids and I don't want to, risk life and limb driving 100 miles an
Right.
hour across the
And
country.
just for the record, Ed, is it Bullion? Bullion?
Ed Bolian,
Yeah,
yes.
he like tricked out a car with 3 gas tanks so he wouldn't have to stop for gas very often. Like when I heard him speak, I was like, holy smokes, this is like a different level. And I hope Papa's not going to that level. And that little old Camry you bought, I don't think is going to be that level. But go ahead.
Yes. And certainly there's like a whole online community that follows the Cannonball, the car race
Right.
Cannonball. And when I mentioned to them that I was doing this at an old jalopy, they definitely gave me a hard time. So I combine this race with playing poker tournaments. And the theory is that I start at the same race point, and then every state I travel through, I need to cash in a poker tournament in that state before I move on. And so you can cross the country from New York to LA in 9 states. You can start in New York. There are poker tournaments that happen at Turning Stone and River Schenectady. Then, if you cash in one of those tournaments, I am allowed, per the rules, to move on to another state. That would be Pennsylvania. From Pennsylvania, you can move across the country to Ohio, Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, and California, and cross the country in 9 states, checking them off along the way. And so that is the challenge that I set up for myself, is that can I go from the Red Ball Garage, the starting point in New York City, all the way to the Portofino Hotel, the finish of the auto race Cannonball in Redondo Beach, Los Angeles, California? Can I do this, cashing poker tournaments along the way? That is the challenge that I set up for myself, and I'm vlogging it and sort of showing how I do at this whole adventure for everyone to sort of ride along with me and see how I do.
Okay, some side details. The Red Ball Garage that Papa Poker mentioned is actually the garage where the car race starts from. So that's the significance there. And I forgot what I was going to say. The second thing I wanted to say was sorry, I started to read my note. Oh, the car he picked out is a used 98 Camry. So that he got from a little old lady, as they say, with, just about 110 or 15,000 miles on it. So I really got a chuckle when you were getting the plates and when you showed the car, I was like, this is going to be amazing. I love to take road trips, and I actually was looking at doing the same sort of concept with a girlfriend. We started talking about it last year. And so when I heard you were doing this, I was really excited because I'm all in on this kind of fun adventure on the road. I love car rides and car journeys. So, pardon me. Let's start with your first. Like you leave the garage and you get over to Stone's and you are wearing a hockey jersey and it's a number 23. Tell us why.
Yes. So you mentioned that I've been a hockey broadcaster in my past. I grew up a huge hockey fan. And to sort of give more talking points, let's wear different jerseys as I go to different states across the country. To maybe it's to blend in with the crowd, maybe it's to shout out to my fellow vlog viewers a little bit about my interest in hockey. 23 for the New York Rangers is Chris Drury. Chris is now the general manager of the New York Rangers, but he played for them back in the day. He also played for the Buffalo Sabres. I went to Boston University for undergrad. Chris Drury went to Boston University. And I remember Chris Drury pitching for Trumbull, Connecticut in the Little League World
I
Series,
love it.
helping the United States win the Little League World Series. And so if we're going to do this whole adventure and we're going to try and win something, having Chris Drury, who's won a Stanley Cup, who's won an NCAA hockey championship in college. He's won the Little League World Series. Let's get the good vibes of Chris Drury to send us on our way as we try and win our own championship here, the
Now,
Poker Cannonball.
only if you would have kept your word that you would play 2-3 in honor of his jersey number, and I think you know where I'm going with this, you may have lived up to those expectations. So let's talk about the last hand you bought into the tournament twice
Turning Stone.
at Turning Stone. So let's talk about the last hand of that first tournament at Turning Stone. Do you remember the last hand?
Um, I certainly have struggled through many hands in this process, but yes, let's talk through that last hand.
You had the
Do you remember the last
I
hand
do.
or?
It was the
Okay.
king and 10 of diamonds versus pocket sixes.
Yes.
And
And
the board runs out what?
well, I certainly remember. I feel like in Turning Stone, I was always playing short, and so when I just had this king and ten, very excited that let's get it all in
Right.
here, and
Great spot.
and to just not to see my opponent hit a king on the river, and I was so excited when I had my pair and I was ahead, and then to get knocked out was just I guess it's part of poker, but I always like to get it in. I've got a pocket pair. I like to get it in when I'm ahead. You
Okay.
see a flop
I'm going
and you're ahead. Oh, so
Okay, I'm
rough.
going to stop you because in this case you had king 10 of diamonds. So this isn't
Oh,
the
okay.
pocket king hand. But the
Okay.
board in this hand, your opponent had
Yep.
pocket sixes. The board, because I think the jerseys come in to haunt you because the board in
Yeah.
this hand was
Oh, I didn't see the board. Okay.
okay, the
Yes.
board
Keep
was
going.
2, 4, 3, 6, 2.
Oh.
Right? I was like, oh my God, does he even realize the
I did not realize that 2-3 was out there. Oh.
yeah. Okay, so now you rebought and
Yep.
you have pocket sevens.
Okay, this is the hand I was
Right.
recounting.
You
So
have
you were
pocket
talking about the one
yes.
when I first got knocked
Yep.
out. My bad. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So this hand you have pocket sevens versus king queen. Now,
Right.
do you know what the board was?
S- No, you tell me the board again because I don't remember the board. I remember the last card, but
Dude,
yeah.
I'm going to tell you when I was watching the video I was like, does he even realize this run up? The board was 10, 6, 3, 2, king.
Wow. I didn't see that the two and the three came back to haunt me the whole time.
It did. I was like, this is like so incredible. Like, does he even realize that? Because you spoke about playing the 2-3 in honor of Chris Dury. And I was like,
Sure.
does he even realize that those two cards actually were biting him in the butt? I mean, not that either player had any piece of those cards, but it's just I thought it was kind of ironic, I guess I could say. Now the
Well,
second, go ahead.
let me chime in real
Yep,
fast
you
on that,
bet.
which is I grew up a Philadelphia Flyers fan. One of the biggest rivals is the New York Rangers. I moved to Pittsburgh after going to college, and my family still lives there. And Pittsburgh is also a giant rival of the New York Rangers. So to even be wearing a Rangers jersey probably could be considered not good luck. They're the rivals of the teams I'm fans of. And then to see this 2-3 come back to haunt me, I think it all ties together.
Well, yeah, I'm all about it. I'm a poker player, so all about it. But I just couldn't help but kind of chuckle. And then I wanted to ask you, did you ever play 2-3 in a hand?
Now, do you know what a 2-3 is called?
Yeah, the
Do you know
dirty diaper.
the dirty diaper?
Yeah.
I had no idea until just recently. Otherwise, I would have mentioned it in the vlog that 2-3 is the dirty diaper.
Yeah.
So I would have told you if I played 2-3. I
Okay.
just got rid of that. I got rid of that Chris Drury jersey. I never wear it again. I'm like, okay, I didn't like the Rangers. I love Chris Drury. The 2-3s are haunting me secretly, even.
Well,
So
it's just so I got a big kick out of it. I have to say, when I'm trying to come up with discussion for this interview, I was like, I have to bring this up. Like, how can I not bring this up? Right now, you go on to you didn't have luck at River. I mean, at Turning Stone, so you go over to Rivers because the only thing that matters is that you win a tournament in the state you're in. Doesn't matter which casino or card room, just in the same state. So you can go from card room to card room to card room until you win a tournament. So you go over to Rivers because you're trying to get out of the state of New York, quite honestly. And do you want to tell us about your first bullet at that tournament?
yeah, so Rivers Schenectady, it's really a nice casino. I don't have you been to Rivers
I have
Schenectady
not.
before? Turning Stone, I had played back when I lived in New York City. I think I'd driven up for my first $1,000 tournament. I think I played at Turning Stone. River Schenectady, I'd never been to when I lived in New York, but I guess in my travels, I'd played at River Schenectady once before. But both casinos in New York are beautiful. And that tournament that I went to was a revival tournament where they actually give you a bounty chip, but it's not a real bounty chip. Instead, the bounty or this special chip that you hold means that if you get knocked out, you get one chance at coming back to life, and they'll give you 20 times your big blind to re-enter the tournament.
Oh,
And
wow.
um, and so it's sort of a fun concept. It's something that River Schenectady does in their tournaments is they have some unique rules. And so in this revival tournament, I didn't even really know the rules. Everyone says, I talked to Maureen Blucklinger. She's like, you got to plan all this out. And I did not. I didn't even fully study the rules in this revival tournament. I just sort of figured it out as we were
Right.
playing. Um, and I was really excited how I was doing in this tournament. I was moving along, and then in sort of this first chance before I had to use my revival, I looked down and I've got pocket kings. And when you've got pocket kings, you're trying to do everything to get more money in. And a lot of people fold. And then
How,
we actually get somebody.
how close were
So
you
it's
to the
just,
money? I'm sorry. How close were you to the money?
yeah. So when we're about to hit the break, so fortunately, this is still in the rebuy
Okay.
period. Um, I would say that this tournament ended up paying 12. At that time, I didn't know how many people had rebought. They hadn't put up the number of people that would cash, but or maybe it was something like paying 12. And so 40 some people in the tournament, but there were more buy-ins than actual people. And so there were still 4 or 5 tables going at this point, just before the rebuy section. And I have pocket kings. The action folds around to a guy with pocket jacks, and I am loving life. Here I've still got my revival chip. I have pocket kings. I'm up against pocket jacks. And, if you could capture me right at that moment, I knew I was leaving New York, like with those
Right.
pocket kings in
What
front of
could
me.
possibly
Check
go
the
wrong?
box. I've got the revival chip in front of me. So worst case later, I can revive. I was just so excited at that point, and then the cards were not with me.
Yeah, and people around here know that I hate pocket jacks, and so when I saw pocket jacks, I was like, he's dead. He's absolutely dead meat. Uh, because of course the jack comes on the flop, and your pocket kings are useless. And I'm really excited at this revival chip. I've never heard of this before. I think the concept just kind of makes it fun. So you got 20 big blinds to come right back into the tournament. Were you at the same table or did they move you?
I was at the same table, so I
Interesting.
kept my seat. So the revival chip, you sort of hand in this. It says bounty on it, but it's not a bounty. You hand in your revival chip to the dealer, and they just give you a stack right away.
I love that concept. How fun, honestly.
And obviously, like that moment where you get knocked out of a tournament. Here, I got knocked out with a bad beat. You're so upset, and then fortunately, you come back to life within 5 seconds. They're like, "All right, I'm back in this."
Right.
It was right before the rebuy, so then I had an ace, and it's like, "All right, let's just go all in. Let's see if we can get some action before this rebuy period ended." Because if I rebought, I would get another revival chip.
Right.
Or if I could double up if someone matched, sort of me just going all in really aggressively with an ace, so be it. And I end up going all in.
Ace and seven of clubs.
Yeah, and match up against someone who has the same hand as me, but a king, and then somehow they come up with a straight, and
Ugh.
we get knocked out again. So
Ugh. Now that time you were close to the money though, weren't you?
okay. So then those two hands were what happened before the rebuy period.
Okay.
The hand
The revival chip.
that
Yeah.
everybody sort
Got
of tracks is then I must admit I went on tilt and I didn't write down any hands. So then you jump from those two hands to the final hand of that tournament. I get a lot better as I vlog to try and write down every pertinent hand. But the final hand at Rivers Schenectady, the action folds around to me. Now I have, call it 10 or 11 big blinds. There are two tables left. I just moved to this table. They needed to rebalance the tables. I moved to the table. I have no read on anybody. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to sit out and sort of see how things go.
right.
I passed through the blinds. So I have 10 big blinds left. There's 15 of us left. It pays 12. I just have to cash. I just have to survive.
Right.
How many more rounds is it for three people to get knocked out? Not that many. A couple people must be short. I look down at king, queen off. I'm on the button. I'm first to act. And I'd love to say that I am a well-studied player. Like every time I run this by someone, everyone's like, you must go all in. It's an obvious all in. Now, I think I recognize that, but I also said, well, I don't want to run into an ace and have somebody call me and get knocked out when I'm so close to the money. But king queen is so strong. I raise with the king queen, call it just over, double what the minimum bet is. And I didn't bet that big, and I kept the big blind in.
Right.
We go to the flop, and I hit a king on the flop. I am super excited, just thrilled. The big blind has me well covered. He's got double my chips. And then he leads out. He leads out as the big blind, and I've got this king on the flop. It's a rainbow flop. What's this guy have? And so he leads out for 100,000 chips, and I started with 325,000. I've already wagered 65,000, so I've got two something left. And I really debated folding because even with two something left, I figured I could fold my way to the money. And yet I have top pair kings. It's a rainbow. What could this guy have? I end up going all in. He's got an open ender for a straight. He hits a straight on the
Oh,
turn, and I am knocked out
so sick.
right here on the bubble. And
Oh,
it's
so
just
sick.
not helpful. And I think this whole process, I did decently at Turning Stone, but really at Rivers multiple times, I was planning where was I going to drive to in Pennsylvania, what hotel was I going to stay at in Pennsylvania,
You know what
And
I call
I
that?
learned that that was a mistake. You
Yeah.
can't look ahead.
Yeah.
You
I
can't
was
be
just gonna
counting your
say
chips
you put
too
the horse
early.
behind the cart. Um,
Yeah.
I'm never that person. So, but you know what? The good news is that because you were still so close to the Red Ball Garage, what could you do?
So my goal in this whole cannonball is to set the fastest time between New York and LA. And so New York is this weird state where there aren't that many tournaments. Call it 4 tournaments a week, a couple on the weekends, one on Monday, one on Tuesday. But in the middle of the week, if there's no tournaments, I'm like, I'll just drive back to the Red Ball Garage again. I'll start the clock all over.
Groundhog's
And
Day.
so just yeah, Groundhog Day, Valentine's Day, whatever holiday you want to repeat, I just keep going back to the Red Ball Garage, and I am prepared to do it as many times as I need to. And so that is the plan: is post River Schenectady, and we put 2 vlogs out. The plan is drive back to the Red Ball Garage, start the clock all over, and see if we can get across the country in a record fast time.
Okay, now all that took place last week. You want to tell us a little bit about what's taken place since that, or what's your pleasure?
Yeah, so right now, the next tournament, usually tournaments in New York are Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday. Saturday's Turning Stone, Sunday's Rivers, um, Monday is Rivers again, and then Tuesday is Turning Stone. However, that week there was no tournament on the Monday at Rivers. I actually made a huge mistake. I'm consulting Poker Atlas. I see that there are tournaments at the Casino Niagara. If anyone has ever been to Niagara
You
Falls,
stick
there are
with a
two sides of the
Canada.
falls. There are two sides of the falls. There's a New York side of Niagara Falls and a Canada side of Niagara Falls. And it was in Poker Atlas under New York State. So I'm like, oh, I can go midweek to Casino
No.
Niagara. Nope, nope. It's in Niagara Falls, Canada, which would take me out of New York and would not count for checking off New York State. So I drive back to Manhattan. You see me return to the Red Ball Garage. One sort of cool thing is the first time I went to Red Ball, I had a friend come out and film me leaving the garage.
Right.
This second time, I don't have any friends who are willing to meet me at 6 in the morning. So
They're like, forget it. We did it once.
I I'm like, I go to one of the attendants of the garage and I'm like, I'll tip you. I promise I'll tip you. Can you like take my camera and film me leaving the garage so I can get this on video and we can record the time? And so not only did I do this, but this guy, he was fantastic, and we tipped him, I think, off camera. But he did a minute interview with me talking about different people that he's seen come do regular
Oh,
cannonballs, the history of the cannonball, what it's like to work at the garage. So have a nice little fun conversation with a guy who works at the Red Ball Garage, has seen tons of cannonballers come through. He's never seen anyone do a poker cannonball, yet he's still very supportive of this whole adventure, which is fantastic. And
I
then
love it.
and then drive back to Turning Stone. And I would love to say that I do well at Turning Stone, but there are a lot of vlogs here of me just getting very angry in New York. So
Oh
at Rivers
no.
Schenectady, I like was so upset I threw my phone down on the ground. At Turning Stone, I come out of Turning Stone and I am so upset. I'm just like shouting into the camera. I debate quitting so many times along this journey, and certainly in New York, you see the majority of this. Should I quit? Should I not? I'm certainly labeling this particular episode "I quit the poker cannonball" because it is the closest that I come to quitting. I get so upset. I drive to my father's house in Pennsylvania. I totally scrap the run and leave the state without cashing. So there are some brutal hands. There's bubbles involved. Um, and in the early days, we get very upset to do this adventure.
Well, I'm not going to give away. I know where you're at currently. physically, so I'm not going to give that away. But I was curious as how it came about that you are where you are. But you may have just answered that question.
Oh,
But
well, yeah, full disclosure is it takes a lot of time to edit vlogs. So, similar to watching Survivor or Amazing Race, and at its core, this is inspired by The Amazing Race and a tweet that Scotland's #1 poker player Neil Farrell originally did. And we can talk a little bit about that tweet, but it's based on his concept, which was let's do a poker amazing race. It may be true that as we did the travel, we recorded everything that happened, and then it took a lot of time to edit. You know, as you look at the hands, and I think you've seen them, Sherry, we animate them. We have
yes,
me talking about the hands. We put up the cards. We even show the thing that I really enjoy is I like to know where the player is, like where are they sitting at the table. So I'm writing down my seat information. I'm putting up on the vlog the exact seat. You can see where the big blind is. In tournaments, I don't know if there's that many vlogs that really get into tournaments. Maybe around the World Series, a lot of people do tournaments, but I feel like most vlogging is on cash.
right.
So I'm trying to do the best, most professional vlog when it comes to poker tournaments. So if you like poker tournaments, this is I hope, a vlog for you in that we show the tournament action. These are a lot of dailies, so I am short quite a bit. But what do you do when you're short? You know, do you have to go all in a little bit more often? Do you play conservative more often if you're just trying to cash? So we have fun with it. We edit, and we how I've said this to everybody is that I will show everybody every Monday what happens, and I am going to vlog going from New York to California until I finish or I fully quit. And so while the label of the episode for episode 3 is I quit the poker cannonball, as you know, Sherry, I'm allowed to go back to the red ball garage
Right,
again and
and
start
start all
over.
over again.
But
And hence
but
why I said Groundhog Day as in the movie, right? Um,
absolutely.
I want to know, I forgot what I was going to say now. Um, I'm sorry. I was just trying to write a note while you were giving us the
Yeah, well, one thing I'd love
I
to
do have a
oh, you
suggestion.
go.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
do remember.
suggestion. I'll take a
I
suggestion.
do have one suggestion.
Yes.
At the end of your vlog, you put up your wins losses statement, so to speak.
Right, the profit and loss statement
Right.
with poker profit loss, travel cost, and then overall for sure.
Okay. I need you, I'm old and speaking on behalf of the old people, blind people, and just people that can't read fast. Please,
Uh-huh.
please leave that up on the screen a little bit longer.
That sounds like I will figure out some way to do it, whether it's a separate tweet that we have a longer one or something like that. But yes, it is only up there for a few seconds, so we'll figure out how we can get those
And I
results up
say
there
that
longer.
because those are your results, and we're trying to see what your results are, right? And
For
so
sure.
I think it's important that we can follow along those results. And you guys are doing a great job of editing. And believe me, I've worked on editing video in the past, and it's a lengthy proposition. It doesn't take 5 minutes, that's for sure. And when you get done with one, you're not quite ready to just dive into the next one because that one just took a lot of time. Uh, and you're trying
I
to be
have
creative.
this is my very first vlog, so everyone's getting to see, vlog number 1, now vlog number 2, vlog number 3 is going to come out Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. And everything you say, Sherry, is absolutely true. It's a lot of effort. I appreciate everyone who writes a comment or a like or a subscription to sort of recognize that effort, which I love doing for everybody. And your suggestion and other suggestions, I'm happy to take it. I had one person on Reddit say they hated my thumbnail. They're like, I would never watch a vlog with this episode 2 thumbnail. So we're going to try and have a more chill, conservative thumbnail for episode 3 that you'll see on Monday. And then feedback as far as how do we make those results stay up longer. I'm on that, but I love all the feedback. Whatever someone who spent the time sort of watching the journey, happy to sort of act on that advice.
Well, and we appreciate your willingness to do so because those that suggest are doing it for, for you, for sure. And I want to tell my audience members, I appreciate you being here this evening. If you'd like to come up and chat with us, you have a comment or question for Papa Poker, please make a request on that bottom left corner, and we'll be happy to bring you up on the speakers panel. And you can ask your questions or give us your comments for sure. Um, is there anything that's been happening while you've been on the road that you didn't expect or think would happen, and now you find yourself maybe trying to solve a problem or an issue or rearrange something because you didn't pre-plan for it?
Yes, certainly. I would love to say that everything goes well. And I think the biggest regret I have is maybe I should have had some sort of camera on the front of the car to sort of document or be able to grab footage of where I was driving a little bit more
Right.
often. The car holds up despite being a 1998
I
Toyota
love
Camry,
it.
which is fantastic.
Love it.
But we are a couple episodes away from an encounter with a moose, and I'd love to have had the footage of that moose from the driver's side. Instead, you just get to see me talk about an encounter with a moose.
Right.
And I have it was, I guess, driving across the country, and it's thousands and thousands of miles. You're bound to run into issues driving. So whether that's a semi truck cutting you off, a moose getting in your way, animal life, taking wrong turns, roads not actually being where you think they
Right.
are.
I'm
Um,
going to tell you,
what's
after I did a long road trip from, I think it was, yeah, it was from Spokane down to Little Rock, Arkansas, to move my daughter. She's a college coach, and so she was moving from Gonzaga to University of Arkansas, and she didn't have time to drive her stuff down and her dog, so I took her stuff down and she flew. And um, after that trip, I said the same thing to myself. I'm going to have a cash dam, no, a, a dash cam, because as I was on one of the interstates, this car came flying by me in the left lane and was probably two car lengths ahead of me when it actually took a 90-degree angle turn into the grassy medium and over across two lanes of traffic coming in the opposite direction and off the cliff.
what?
Yeah. And I was like, of course you're like, wait, what just happened? Like, what, and of course they had to have been having some kind of medical issue, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
but at the same token, you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? And so, of course, I pulled off to call the police. But at the same token, I was like, damn, I wish I had my dash cam because we may have been able to even get the person's license plate. Like, it would have just been a better to have a camera at that moment. But anyway, um, I did tell myself from that point forward when I do a long, um, you know, multi-state drive, I'm definitely having a cash cam. Why do I keep saying cash cam? A dash
Cash cam. We need to invent that. Let's
Right.
invent a cash
I
cam.
want a cash cam too, but in this case, a dash cam. But anyway, so I understand
Now,
your
have you
point.
ever made a wrong turn? Like, what's the biggest wrong turn you've ever made?
Oh, um, in Florida, the GPS took us literally to a road that wasn't there, and we dead ended into a swamp.
What?
Yeah, true story.
And the car went in the
No, no,
swamp, or
no,
you
no.
were able to stop
No, no, no.
beforehand?
We
Okay.
no, no, no. We, could see what was happening. We're like, why did it bring us here? Like, and then come to find out that they were like redoing roads, and the roads that were about to open weren't open yet. I don't even remember what it was, but it had to do with new construction anyway. And thank God that was the worst that we had ever faced. But people have said in at nighttime they've been you know, taken to places and they could have really gotten seriously injured. Have you had something like that?
Yeah, so I had an internship in Pittsburgh at one point. We had an offsite in West Virginia. And for some reason, I was in Pittsburgh and I thought that West Virginia was south. And so I ended up driving south multiple hours into West Virginia, only to figure out there's that little sliver of West
Yeah.
Virginia that goes up directly west of Pittsburgh. That, in fact, where I was supposed to go was directly west, not directly south
Oh,
into West Virginia. And I think I ended up making an 8 a.m. picnic at like 2
oh,
p.m. because I'd gone so many hours the wrong way. There are wrong turns in this. There are casinos with no tournaments where I thought that there was a tournament and there wasn't one there. I make some major detours and have some big problems on the road. So at least each episode, there might be a poker problem, there might be a driving problem.
right.
Nothing goes easy when you're driving across the country and trying to play poker as fast as you
So I
can.
guess the moral of this story, audience members, if you're planning to go on a trip and stop at a poker room, maybe call ahead of time and double check that schedule that they have on the website or poker ads.
There may be a good 3 minutes of vlog at some point, which is me saying over and over again, always call the poker room. Why did I not do that? So
Well, and I learned that myself a long time ago because I have done a lot of cross country trips. And I found out long ago that, they just, like when I have my own website, I go on there and I update it, and in 15 minutes it's updated. But when it's a business's website, they have to put in a request form, send it to this department, then get it approved, and then that department sends it to IT, and then they deal with it, blah, blah, blah. 5 weeks later, the change is finally made on the website. And so I found out long ago and it was an error. I looked at the website, it said that there was this poker going on. And of course, when I got there was no poker. And so from that point forward, when I'm doing a trip, I always call and ask them, what do you got going on?
And so I guess the nice thing about this vlog is you get to ride along with me learning all these lessons. This was really my first drive across the country, travel to play poker. And a lot of people have said, what about this or what about that? I typically have always been a homebody where I'll be living wherever I'm living. I
Right.
talk about how I went from New Jersey or New York and played in Atlantic City. What's the closest casino? And you'd sort of know that the closest casino's information was right. But when you're doing a big trip, it's a big deal if you make all sorts of travel and there's no tournament.
Heck yeah. And it's disappointing too because you're looking forward to it. Oh, I'm going to be in Oklahoma and I'm going to play this tournament at, you know, the Hard Rock or whatever. And then you get there and you're like, oh, there's no tournament. I guess I'll play cash. Or, oh, there's not even any cash. I guess I'll just leave now. And
Oh, so
it is
rough.
rough because you're looking forward to it. It's a part of your trip. So yeah, I learned that lesson long ago for
Indeed,
sure.
indeed.
Any other issues you've had on the road that you'd like to share with us at this point that you don't want to, no spoilers, of course, but anything else you'd like to mention?
Yeah, I think one thing that I do is that along the way, I try and include conversations that somewhat tie in to where I am. So when we kicked off the race, we include an interview with Ed Bolian, who actually set the Cannonball record, the automobile record. And I have heard that of all my vlogging, that has been the superstar of these two episodes so far has been Ed Bolian recounting over a 20-30 minute conversation how he put his car together, how he drove from New York City to LA, what went well, what did not. So
100%.
I,
And I'm going to tell you, the second episode is a good friend of mine in it, Maureen Bloklinger. And I'm sorry, Maureen, that episode's fantastic too. But to listen to the history of the Cannonball Run and Ed's, making his run. When he talked about the three gas tanks, I was like, holy smoke, this is like, to me, all I can think of is fire. Like, this is three tanks of gas. Yeah, all I could think of was the hazard of those gas tanks.
Absolutely. Like you're driving a car, if you get in an accident, that is not healthy to have 3 times the amount of gas set up in your car. But he talks about how he sets that up. And I think he makes that whole cannonball very approachable in the conversation. And he knows enough about poker that he is giving us a nice shout out to the poker cannonball concept. But his run, his history of the movie, the car race, how it all ties together is a beautiful setup. We do talk about Hendon Mob quite a bit in some of these early interviews, but I do bring in Neil Farrell, Scotland's #1 poker
Nice.
player. He did a tweet back in January
Right.
2024 that started this all. He's like, let's do Poker Amazing Race. Contestants start in
Yep.
Romania. They cross Europe and they have to get Hendon flags along the way. That tweet went viral. And it's really what inspired me to do this is like, how do I do that if I can't fly to Romania anytime soon? Let me do a US version of it. And Neil says that he ended up, I was like, where did this idea come from? It changed my life and that I spent, weeks of my life trying to chase this down. And he said, well, where all good ideas come from, it's like 12 beers on a Friday, that's where this came from. So,
Well, and I'm going to tell you that I have kind of put that suggestion out to the Hendon Mob, I don't know, about 6 or 9 months ago, that we need flags per state here in the United States. The states that have legal poker rooms, we should be able to earn a flag if we, cash in a tournament in that state. The United States is huge. And, it takes us days to drive from one state to another. Europe has a lot of countries close, and you can go to multiple countries in a week's time in Europe, where we can go in multiple states during a week's time here in the United States. And I just think it would be fun to be able to flag hunt here within the United States and just have state flags. Like you can earn a United States flag, but then have state flags that we can earn. I just think it would. I think it would be a fun thing to do.
well, I bring Anthony Charter on Monday from Hendon Mob, and we talk a little bit about this. I don't know if I've made any progress given where Hendon Mob is right now, but everyone can see my interactions with Anthony from Hendon Mob and see how he reacts to the concept as well.
Love it. I'm going to welcome Matt to the stage. Hey, Matt, do you have a question or comment for Papa?
Hey Sherry, hey Isaac and everybody. Thanks for having me on, Sherry.
You bet.
Hello, Papa. How are you? How are you doing, man? Are you keeping well over
Thanks
there?
for joining.
It's an absolute joy. Your story with the Canon Ball Poker Run. It's the first time I've actually heard it, and it's absolutely fascinating. Have you ever come over here to the UK and maybe one day see if you could try doing it, say, from, I don't know, from London to maybe Newcastle, maybe sometime?
Yeah, so the original inspiration is Neil Farrell. He's a poker player in Scotland, and he proposes going from Romania to the UK, and you need to cross Europe. Now, I've counted the number of countries to do this. You can do it in 6 countries. You can do Romania, then Hungary, then Austria, Switzerland. You have a choice between, I guess, either Switzerland or
Right.
Germany, then France, and then the UK. And so I, if I were to eye something else, it would be this original tweet. Going from Romania to the UK is on my list. I have not done a lot of international travel playing poker. I've, played in the Philippines once. I've played in Canada once. I've done Europe on rare occasion, but certainly it's on my list. I think I need to do it, Matt.
Sounds absolutely fantastic. Have you ever thought about, have you ever been to where I'm from here in Leeds?
I have not been to Leeds. So where is Leeds compared to London?
Oh, wow. You're talking at least, well, we're further north than London, so it's about, I'd say, good. Well, if you're going by car from London itself to where I am, it'd be about 3 hours, 4 hour drive, something
Okay.
around there.
Well, I mentioned at the start of this that I got my start playing poker by my friend Jamie. He said, "Oh, let's go play in Atlantic City," when I was living in New Jersey. So Jamie's from Liverpool. He works in pharmaceuticals, so he was in pharmaceuticals in New Jersey at the time, but he's now back in the UK, living in Liverpool. So I've dragged him down to London to play, but I need to head north to Liverpool and Leeds. I will put it on my list for you.
Sounds absolutely great. Papa, let me know when you're in Leeds. It'd be good to meet up with you.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. So I just got a new job, and they don't let me travel as much as my old job. But once I can get some vacation time, hopefully next summer, I'd love to get a Europe trip and a UK trip. And the new thing for Americans is we need like a special entry visa get online, but I need to track that and make sure I do everything right before my upcoming trip to the UK. But I'll track all that and see what I can do.
Love it. Do you have anything else, Matt?
Oh, well, from that sounds really awesome. I don't think I could ever tell them. Now, Papa, I know you've done, loads of interviews. Have you had any interviews that have stand out for you? Any good ones, any bad ones?
Yeah, I would certainly say that I mentioned at the top that Jeremy Becker was really the first poker player to give me the time of day and be willing to do, I'm like, just give me 15 seconds. I'd love it. And he was so nice about doing that, because when you interview players, they want to know who you've interviewed before. Have you interviewed people that they've heard of? So Jeremy sort of kicked me off. During this vlog, we bring in Matt Savage, because during this poker cannonball, and if you want to see episodes, Google Papa Poker or Google Poker Cannonball, and you'll be taken to the vlogs. I run into a situation where the dealer makes a play that I didn't really agree with, and so we had to call for the floor. But I also call into the vlog Matt Savage and have him weigh in on the ruling and how it goes. So I've talked to Matt Savage in this. From Lexi Gavin Mather's vlogs, I bring on Bob Mather to talk. I talked to Neil Farrell, Scotland's #1 poker player. If you follow Crush Live Poker, we bring in Mike G to talk a little bit about the world of Crush Live, and he's playing in Pennsylvania. So I have found that so many different people have been so cool in taking the time and being willing to spend time with me. My biggest interview, I guess, is last year at the World Series of Poker. I interviewed Olga Yermolova, if I got her last name right,
Pretty
and
close.
she and she weighs in on what her advice is for people playing at the World Series of Poker. That's hit hundreds of thousands of views across social media. I also have one other short where I watched Jonathan Tamayo walk through the Horseshoe Casino last year. That has about 50 million views. And so this year, the World Series invited me to come back, and we got Michael Mizrahi, the grinder, walking through the casino, and that did hundreds of thousands of views. So Olga's my biggest interview, where she gives advice about who to bluff and who not to bluff. And then we've gotten these other shorts of people walking through the casino that have been a lot of fun too.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Matt, did you have anything else, sir?
Oh, Mamma Mia! How can I top that? That is fantastic.
I love it.
I would love to maybe do something with you, Papa, if you want to do a little, maybe like a podcast or something. Maybe you could do on poker.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
would love
we're
to.
happy to message you after this and see what we could do. Um, and that is something that I'm certainly doing right now is, getting the word out about this poker cannonball. Um, Along the way, I would play with people, and I really wouldn't tell anyone that I was doing this until I cashed. I didn't want people to know that I had so much pressure to just cash.
Sure.
But then after I cashed, I would tell people, and people would be like, "Wait, who made up the rules? Why can't you change it here or change it there?" And I'm like, "No, the rules are the rules." And now I compare it to, and Matt, I don't know if you follow in the United States, we had our Emmy Awards, which were awards for the best TV programs in the United States. And so just this past weekend, the host, he said he was going to donate $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club. And that was how he started the whole broadcast. And it was very fun. But he said that they had a strict time requirement during this award ceremony, and people who won only had 45 seconds to say thank you. And if they went over, every second they went over, he would deduct $1,000 from how much he donated to these children. And so if you went 49 seconds, it would go from 100,000 in donations to 96,000. And he was warning everybody, don't go over. You're going to steal money from the children. And people are like, wait, why are these the rules? He's like, I made up these rules. So I felt I felt very similar to this host. It's just I made
I
up the
love it.
rules. You got to follow them. And we have a lot of fun with people saying, why don't you change the rule here? Why don't you change the rule there? My daughter said, why don't you just make it that you cash in a tournament in each state? And I'm like, no, that's too easy. I could cash in every casino in like one day. We got to make this harder.
Well, and I appreciate that for sure. You know what? I need to give a little shout out to my girls down at Best Bet in Jacksonville, Florida. Is a ladies' weekend of tournaments, and right now they're playing a 2-5 game on the cash on the live feed table. Stephanie, Danny, and Deb. Good luck to you, ladies. Just needed to give those girls a little shout out. All right, Matt, was that it, or did you have something else, my friend?
Oh, I was just going to say as well, Sherry, would you mind sending the best of luck wishes from me as well, please, to the
Uh,
ladies of that tournament you mentioned?
Of
I know they're doing really well.
course. We'll set it from you, me, Papa Poker, Isaac, Barry, Ryan, Rob, and Puppy Poker, a brand new troll account that has been created because Papa Poker is in our presence. We'll all send those ladies, Stephanie, Danny, and Deb, Wells wishes on that live feed down at Best Bet, Jacksonville, Florida.
Sherry, have you played at Best Bet Jacksonville, Florida?
I have. I've actually hosted one of my meetup games there.
And they do a live stream there too?
They do several
Yeah.
times a week.
I have never played on a live stream yet, so that's still one of my goals is how do I get on a live stream? Along the way, you'd hit different casinos which either had just started a live stream or had them. We talked about Venetian
Right.
earlier. They've obviously got a room. But one of these days, I'm either just gonna grab enough money and go figure out a way to get on a live stream, or I'm gonna figure out how to get on a feature table at the World Series with some famous poker
I'm
player.
gonna tell you something. You're so close to California that I would go over and get into DGAF's cash game. He does like a 1-3 game, I think, during the week and a 2-5 game
Okay.
over at the it's the Lucky Lady, I think, casino. I could be saying the wrong one. I hate to quote names.
No, I think it is Lucky Lady because I think I saw Josh playing in that at one
Yeah,
point or
and it's
something.
easy to get on that table, and it's not very high stakes, and it would be a very good first time live feed table. There's also that other casino that one of the Spaces guys, Avi, goes down to Jamal, Jamul, excuse me, J A
Yeah, yeah, Hamul, Hamul.
Hamul, Jamul. My mouth will work sooner or later tonight. Um, and they have a brand new live table there, but they play, I think, PLO. I don't know if they play other days of the week, some other variation of poker or not. But I would definitely recommend DGAF's live table. Tell them I sent you. And I think that would be a great first live table.
Yeah, no, it's certainly that's the other nice thing is that the stakes have gotten lower and lower where I can get on these tables. So I will make
I'm sorry. Sorry, you guys. I accidentally hit the mute button. Papa Poker,
yeah,
unmute yourself.
I
Sorry.
will make a point of trying to get to Lucky Lady. I think even Homul, which is spelled Jamul, should be on my list. And let me start with some of these smaller stakes tables, and then see if I can build a live stream bankroll for future adventures.
Well, and it's good to go into a live feed table without a lot of pressure. I've had the privilege of being on several different ones, and I've never been nervous or intimidated. It was just a natural fit for me, and I think it was just because I've been on the radio before and broadcast before, and I just didn't make too much of it. Like, my expectations were, I'm just going to play poker, not that I'm going to win $1 million, not that this is going to make me famous, not that it was just I'm going to play poker, and I really highly recommend just trying to go into one of the small streams a couple of times before you try to go like to the lodge to be on their stream or even best bet stream, because it can be very intimidating because those are big names, so to speak.
Yes, like I have never had the lodge even on my radar because you're right. I need to start smaller than that. But there have been some games in Vegas too that have been, potential possibilities. So we'll
Right.
see. But starting small in California sounds like the way to go.
Ian, I heard there may be some other stuff coming in Las Vegas. So, but I don't know how far down the road that is. But I definitely, if I could plan to go over to DGAF's game while I'm in Vegas at some point, either in December or June, I would. Just to support what he's doing over there, because I just think it's important that we have some live feed tables like he has going. It's good for poker, and it's good for people to get their feet wet on live feed tables. So I highly support it, and I just wish I can find time to get over there and support it live myself.
Well, I love the advice. Thank you.
You are welcome. I like to play a little rapid fire game. Are you familiar with the concept?
I believe I've heard one or two of these, but I have not prepared, so I'm ready to go.
Perfect. I'm going to give you the answers. You just have to pick one or pass. So you already meet the qualifications. All right. Mountains or beach?
Mountains,
Sour Patch Kids or gummy bears?
gummy bears,
Cook or do the dishes?
do the dishes,
Pizza or burger?
pizza,
Texting or a phone call?
phone call,
Football or baseball?
football,
Team chop or team no chop?
team chop.
Love it. Thank you for playing. That wasn't so hard.
Well, certainly chopping is another big topic in this whole poker cannonball. If they pay the bubble, does that count as cashing? Sherry, what do you think?
Not unless it goes through the cage,
Okay,
because it's got to be on record.
fair enough.
So, and to me, when you cash, it's on record. So,
Like you had an answer right away, and I agree with your sentiment. It's just these were things that I did not plan out, and then you start to bump into. It's like you're on a bubble, and they're talking about paying the bubble, and you're like, "Wait, how does that rule work?" And I agree with your sentiment that it should be paid through the cage, but like I didn't even think that through ahead of time when I was making the rules.
well, and for you, you're trying to set a record, so you need the records to
Absolutely, yeah.
support your record, right? And
Yep.
so, for it to go through the cage would be a record for you. So, I think it's even more so in your case that you need that record.
Yeah, and I would love to say that in all these tournaments they report to Hendon Mob. Typically, obviously, every major series is going to report to Hendon Mob, and it's so nice that in Vegas, so many places do.
Right.
Turning Stone in their daily would not. And so, we talk about New York. I was like begging the people at New York. I was like, so could you do this or could you do that? And then part of the conversation with Anthony, which we'll have in Monday's episode, is if a tournament doesn't report to Hendon Mob, what you can do on your own to have it be sort of validated and shown as proof, even if you have to do it yourself. So I found that part of the discussion with Anthony really interesting.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, I have reached out to the Hendon Mob folks in the past over some things, not even for myself, just some general knowledge questions, and then one thing for myself. And they're very accommodating, and they are very quick on their response. So anytime you have an issue or a question for them, please, folks, email them. They're on top of their shit and they will get back with you.
I would concur with that. They have been fantastic. Obviously, they supported the original tweet about the Poker Amazing Race in Europe. I have pinged them several times. They provided Anthony, who is jumping on the show. Um, uh, Major props to Hendon Mob and how much they have supported me on this journey.
Absolutely fantastic. I love to hear that. They do so much in the community. They provide opportunities. Of course, they do all of our record keeping, and they provide lists of upcoming tournaments and series. And, they host poker series and tournaments. And, they do a lot in the poker community. I don't know if people realize sometimes how much they do and how involved they are. So kudos to them for sure. All right, I'm going to let you off the hook. I'm going to
Oh
let
yeah,
you
I
off
should.
the
I
hook,
have one more comment on the rapid
please.
fire before we wrap up,
Yes.
which is when you asked me about Sour Patch or gummy bears. It was clear cut that it was gummy bears for me, but I am more and more trying to avoid red 40. And so whenever I think about gummy bears now, it's like, oh, I can't have gummy bears anymore because I'm trying to avoid some of these less natural ingredients.
Well, and I think that they're going to take them. I think the companies that are still using the Red 40 have now been convinced by Kennedy to do away with it. So you may not even see any more red gummy bears. So,
No, I think
um,
we are on a path in the next year or two where they will start using beet juice for my red
right,
gummy bears, and I will be eating them up again, which is fantastic.
right on. Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you want to promote before I sign us off, sir?
Well, no, I certainly appreciate everybody tuning in. I am Papa Poker. It's PAPAPOK 3R, but you can just Google Papa Poker and one of my social medias will pop up. For this Poker Cannonball, you can just Google Poker Cannonball to see the vlogs. On YouTube, just search for Poker Cannonball or Papa Poker. And I set up a website, pokercannonball.com. So just type that in. It'll show you the latest episode, but we've got new vlogs every Monday showing how I am doing on this poker journey. I have to cash in poker tournaments crossing the country, and I will debut a new episode every Monday until either I finish this poker cannonball or I 100% quit. But I'm not a quitter. Stay with me through the journey. It'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. And if you click on that profile, folks, you can find his Twitter account immediately. Appreciate you joining me this evening. Those that have tuned in, I appreciate you as well. Folks, if you're not on the felt this week, get out and touch the grass. Get off the social media. It's making people crazy. Get out and touch the grass. Appreciate all of you for joining me. Papa Poker, let's catch up again soon. We're going to do a meetup game in December at the Bellagio. I'll be releasing that information in the upcoming weeks. I see we have somebody coming up, and I'm going to invite Kevin from, is it Chicago? Hey, Kevin, welcome. Oh, don't we just love it?
Yeah.
Don't we just love the intruders? Bye, Kevin. See yourself out, as they say. Gotta love it. Anything can happen here in spaces as we know and love it. Sad to say that people don't take the opportunity to do something positive. But anyway, go out and touch the grass, folks. Hope you have a great weekend. Papa Poker, thanks again, my friend.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. See you guys soon.